Thanks. Thank you for having me here, Peter. It's a real pleasure to be here to talk to you. I was first. I was a little bit hesitant, or we were a little bit hesitant in terms of what we're actually going to talk about at this event, because the topic was which services do you add to become a trusted digital agency. And because we actually, the Mono Solutions is a Danish company, and we actually started out as a digital agency doing digital work for big brands in the Nordic region. And we transitioned away from that because, as Louise, our CEO, says, there was no money in it. So how are we actually going to talk about something that we try to transition from? But we are, because we have actually now quite a good experience in adding digital agency work or methodologies to companies offering this service to SMEs in many parts of the world. So a good beginning for is what we call it. That's what I'm going to introduce you to. It's hopefully it's going to bring some topics related to this transition that where everybody is talking about how to become a trusted supplier of digital services to your customers. Also, we'll try and give some information about some of the experiences that we have done and best practices that we've seen with some of the customers that we are working with, partners that we are working with. I will also try and outline some of the most important lessons and steps of preparation into that transition. So hopefully you will have some takeout there, and that's the goal for this session. A little bit about Mono. The ABC of Mono Solutions is that we're a software as a service. So we deliver a platform which you can use to either do it yourself or do it for website creation, and very much what Paul also was talking about in his presentation. We do a lot with this multi-site management tool, because managing one is easy, managing 10,000 is complicated. And I will get back to why it's complicated also in your role. We really believe that what you need to own, really backing up also Paul in his presentation, is you need to own the point of conversion. That's what you need to own first, because once you own that, you actually have a very, very high degree or level of trust with your customer. That's also the experience for companies like Herald in Austria, that they really try and own that point of conversion, and that has proven to be a very successful way of working. So, which services do you need other than, it would be easy just to say, well, you need Google, you need a web presence platform, you need Facebook, and you need a lot of brand names to put in your product portfolio. But the real service that you actually want to have is a possibility for relevant interaction with your customer, a repetition of interaction with your customer in terms of having opportunities to call them. Customer-centric sales. I know that's one of the things that Paul, the other Paul, is talking a lot about. Customer-centric sales, bringing true value to them, talking about something that actually inspires them, touches on their business. That's what you want to have. You want to have good design work. I mean, the days where you could deliver crappy websites, they're over. Right? People, they're skilled. They see good design everywhere, and they want their website or their simple page to be well designed. Nobody cares about something that is crappy looking anymore. You want to have service. You want to think service into the equation. Constantly thinking about how do we actually service our customers better than what our competition is doing. That's a repetition of possibility to interact in that area. So I don't know if you know what this is. This one. That's back in 1896, I think it was. I don't remember that, but back in 1896, we started to see these cars moving around or going around in Denmark. It's a Benz, it's a Merc, Phaeton. It was very expensive, and it was only for a certain amount of percentage of the people who could actually afford to buy this very nice car. So you would only see a small amount of it. But then in comes this guy. I don't know if you know what that is, but that is actually Ford, the first Ford. He actually wanted to deliver this transportation, this possibility for every man with a reasonable income to actually be able to take his family to see the forest or the beautiful nature of the United States of America. And he introduced the whole idea of conveyor belt methodology, affordable production, assembly lines, making it easy for the customers to buy something. So he actually bought in, he actually made the vision of what is it that we are bringing. We are bringing freedom to man in buying this vessel. And the one question that I would like to ask you is, who is your customers and how are you bringing value to them in terms of the work that you are doing? Because if you don't relate to your customers in that way, if you don't put that into the entire equation, then it's going to be very tough for the customer at least to identify themselves in the service that you are bringing to them. So align to do awesome deliveries at micro budgets. That's really what you are facing, and that's the whole equation that has to be solved in this. Whether it's new sales, how to acquire new customers, how do you do that just to get a micro budget? How do you do production and delivery at micro budget? How do you do upsell at micro budget? How do you do retention at a micro budget? That's actually the thing that has to be solved in this. And thinking about Ford, conveyor belt methodology, it's the way of having a process for interacting with the customers and having the possibilities to do that. That's what we are at least strong believer of. Mono is my word. So customer expectation management and efficient fulfillment is incremental. It's key business factors in solving this, and controlling that is extremely important, because if you don't control it, then you risk the chance of losing everything. So this is two examples of how we measure the things that we're working with. One is quality. I think it was you, Paul, that were talking about the quality in sales. You just need to train the sales team enough. It's the same with delivering the service or the new services to the customers. You just need to be slightly above par with their expectations. Because if you're too far away, you'll end up losing money. If you're way below, they don't trust you. They won't buy from you. So managing that is extremely important in that entire setup. Also managing the price of the product compared to the cost of delivery. It has to balance out. If you're not managing that as well, it might be obvious for you, but trust me, we are working with some companies where we've seen that as being the crucial factor for not really moving in the right direction. So some of the companies that we work with are fairly new companies, the ones that have got the most success in making this transition into digital agencies, adding on new services to their customers. They have a very simple approach to the customers. They are only going to deliver what the customer needs, talk about what the customer wants. And they're going to do it in a process way of working. They're actually adding on several hundred customers a month that they are taking from the old directory services or other companies in that way. And I'm going to show you how they do that. It's called pre-production. It's very simple. It's like a cheat sheet. You actually start by producing something that the customer can relate to, and then use that as your anchor point in the conversation with the customer. And I'm just gonna turn around here. I don't know if you can read it, but it's actually the possibility of merging what you already know about the customers into some heading-specific templates or possibilities of doing that. Once you use the data you already have about the customer, they can relate to you. You can actually have something to talk about. Rather than saying, do you want a website? Then you start creating a whole lot of images at the head of the customer. You want to say, you know, I've did some work, like with the busboard stuff. You can actually add stuff that before you go to the customer. You can say, I did some work, how do you like it? If you should change 3 things, what do you want to change? Right? Having that dialogue and conversation is easier than having a conversation about a complete new system. And once the customer accepts that they think this is a good idea, get them into the professionals, get them onto the fulfillment team, get them onto the people who can actually handle the process way better than the sales team can. Because sales teams, they need to be selling, they need to be making money, making calls, earning money to your company. And then the experts, the SEO experts, the fulfillment team, they are the ones who are doing the warm welcome, saying, I'm the expert, I know everything you want to know about websites. I can help you create your website. Let me show you the examples that I can just share with you now. I just changed these 2 colors, I did this, I did this. How do you like it now? Is it better? You think this can bring value to your business? Because if you look at the other factors, SEO and everything, you actually have a very, very solid solution now. And that's actually freeing up a lot of time to have customer interaction at relevant topics that will give you extreme credibility in the eyes of your customers. So that's actually the way we introduce to a lot of our customers who work with, and it has proven to be a very successful way. So taking out the complexity of this entire equation, not talking about 50 different products, but talking about what you did in 1982, new customers. That's new customers to your customers. That's actually what we're trying to pull back at, saying what you want to be is the ones who create customers for your customers. So if you show their business in any simple way, and it can be done very easy. I mean, every chef in the world maybe can relate, at least in Italy, can relate to these simple images that you can actually work with and use to differentiate in what you're doing. When you do that, you will be well on your way in terms of actually being trusted or perceived as trusted, because you've got some relevant topics to talk about. You've got some relevant info to bring to them, the ones that really that you want to talk to. And relevancy is crucial to all relationships that we have. One thing that Paul mentioned when he was doing his presentation was switching the brand. Look, in Sweden, they had an old brand that had printed directories sticking to it. We recently launched a service together with one of the largest newspaper publishers or newspapers or on media companies in UK, something called Johnston Press. It's actually a couple of former Haiku guys that is heading up this service. So they actually decided to launch a service called Digital Kitback. And it's made on this conveyor belt methodology where we actually use data that they have, merge that into different things, bring it to the salespeople. But I think the interesting thing is that they are not trying to hide that they're from Johnston Press, but they are actually just introducing a new kitback to doing digital work for the customers, and they make it extremely simple. This is what they offer. Present your business, generate more new sales, and engage your customers. That's the message that they're talking about. And how are they going to do that? By adding simple packages, creating results. But they want to own the anchor point of conversion, because if they don't own that, they can't utilize their existing advertising platform. They can't utilize their existing or the other channels that they have, adding on PPC search from Google as well. Another company company that we are working with is DTG in Netherlands, and they're also in this transition, moving away from the traditional yellow page search directory into becoming more of a digital agency. And they have had some rough times with a lot of shifting CEOs, a lot of things going on, but the guy there now, Eric Högstra, he is what we call digital native. He's like born in the online industry. So his vision is to become a one-stop shop for the digital needs of the Dutch SMBs. It's a very ambitious goal, but I think that with his visions and idea, and just he wants to add simplicity to the equation. So they've just cut down from, I think it's like 50, 60 different products into 3 or 4 offerings that they're bringing to the customers. That's easy for the sales team to remember. You need more customers, you need this, right? You need more sales, you need more conversion, you need more retention, you need to get your products out there, you need this. It's social reputation management. It's an easy plugin that they're doing rather than, and I mean, removing a headache from the customer. That's what you want, right? You want to make their life easier. You want to enable them to focus more on their business, because let's face it, they are not digital experts. They are the plumber onto the sink, or somebody else doing their work, and they need to be focused on that. But one single thing that these guys, DTG, is actually adding is social reputation management. So they are working with a company that is delivering a plugin that enables them to update listings on a lot of different channels, different services like Yelp, Facebook, different other services. So rather than going to each and one of them to create an account, and probably if you're an SME, you would spend a lot of time doing that, and you would forget about a lot of them because you wouldn't know them. But making sure that everything is accurate in that sense, it's just removing a hassle. Don't worry about it. We'll take care of that. And then next week, by the way, we're going to call you because we just wanted to show you our new version of how we have mobile optimized websites, whatever it is, because we noticed that you don't score high on that ranking as well. But we're not going to talk about that now, we're going to talk about that next week. And that's the whole idea of having relevant conversations, calling the customers, using this micro budget to actually, and managing these within these micro budgets. Just adding on more simple stuff that creates more value, removes more headache. Another one, which I'm very sure you know of as well, is Census in Australia. It's another one of uses our platform. And probably there's a lot of things to be said about Census in terms of a transitional company, how fast are they, etc. But I cannot lose or get rid of that thought that I really think that when I look at that business, they are extremely successful. That's my honest opinion about it, not just because they're using our tool, but because they are actually very, very efficient. They are on the same path in cutting back on the entire product offering. They had like the same 50 offerings. It was easy. You could just go to the website, you could see it, and you could have a look at that. But cutting back the 50, 60 different services into 3 different maturity levels for a customer. You need to have the anchor point, which is the point of conversion. Then you need to add traffic. And then you need to move into the social area of doing business. It's like moving on a ladder together with the customer. You're growing with the customer, and you're educating the customer, bringing value one piece at a time. Because let's face it, you can't eat an elephant, but you have to carve it out in small pieces to do that, right? But so the days where you can just call the customer once a year and say, so you want to renew? That's not the way it works. Customers want to have interaction, because if they don't have interaction with you and they have a question, what are they going to do? They're just going to look it up. They're just going to search for it, right? And then they'll find somebody else who can give them that answer. It might not be you. It might be these guys, right? This is an American company. I don't know if you know. It's local. It's two guys. They were just acquired by GoDaddy for, I think it was like $70 million US. 2 young guys, Renee and I can't remember the other guy's name, but they're very, very nice. And they have a very, very, very simple offering. It's this. It's listings management. I mean, that's your turf, right? But that's actually what they're doing. It's free. It's just basic listings management. And the other one is the full version, right? It's $25 a month. They'll take care of the whole thing. And that's amazing. They have got so many customers on this platform just by adding this simplicity to the offer. It's this or that. It's amazing. It is free. And that's one of the things that I'm at least looking. And I would encourage you to look at these different types of businesses as well, because some of these digital natives, they just solve a headache. That's pretty much what they wanted, what they did, right? Without even knowing that you had a headache, now you suddenly have one. Another thing that we were asked to talk about is outsourcing. What about outsourcing? Because that seems to be one of the topics that we are constantly being asked about. I was in Brazil 2 months ago, 1.5 months ago, and we were talking to a range of companies in Brazil, and the same question that we were kept being asked was, what about outsourcing? Should we outsource this to somebody who knows about it? And our advice on that, having visited a lot of companies and working with a lot of companies, is be smart and solve the biggest challenge first. And I know that Paul is going to keep me afterwards because I'm using the S word again, but and I really mean it, it's the customer-centric sales. Solve that equation before you solve anything else. Do it wrong fast. Get selling. Get the message out there. Know what the customer wants. Because if you can't sell it, if you spend all your time trying to invent new systems, routines, procedures, then you're not facing the customers and their problems. So that's the biggest advice from us. Start selling. Start getting it out there. Start getting to know the true value of what you bring to your customers. So manage and own the most valuable thing for you, the sales relationship with your customer. That's the most valuable thing to you. Because if you lose that, then you might as well just shut down the business. That's a fact. No sales, no fun. Get started fast. That's also one of the things that we encourage people to. Don't wait. Get started now. Do it and outsource the more advanced components, like fulfillment of mobile optimized websites. I mean, it's expensive to hire in a new team of designers. It's expensive to hire in people who know a lot about this stuff. Why don't you just outsource it to a company that actually is capable of delivering that service? Easy, efficiently, very, very easy. SEO, it takes a lot of time and knowledge to do SEO work. Outsource that to somebody who knows something about it. Might be just a local partner that you're working with that actually knows something about SEO, but it brings value and it removes one headache at least from you. SEM booking, that's also, even though there's a lot of systems out there doing campaign management, it's still a tough job to do it. It's still not quite 100% automated that way, right? It still takes time to do. Find somebody who can help you do that. Also, the warm welcome call, that's extremely important. I mean, the 1 hour turnaround time from So Local is amazing. But the thing that actually happens, we try to do the same, for example, with the guys in Digital Kitback. When they have a sale, within a very short time frame, the partner that they have outsourced the fulfillment to give the customer a call and say, hey, I'm your new digital best friend. How can I help you? How can I assist you? You want a new website? You want a new one? And what is it that you want to achieve with this website? I just got the notes that you're in this industry. I just prepared a few examples for you. Here you go. The warm welcome call. It's extremely important. I mean, who would buy something from someone who would let them hang there for like a week? Nobody. I wouldn't. I mean, not if you compare it to a digital purchase where you can get it instantly, right? So that's the whole equation there. Invest the money in sales enablement and above-the-line marketing. That might be an easy thing to just throw out there and say, hey, you just need to invest in sales enablement and above the line marketing. But the truth is that rather than investing in processes, people doing fulfillment work and all that, you might just want to invest in advertising that creates a link between you as a company and the service that you want to bring in the customer's mind. Because you're absolutely right, Peter, that the biggest challenge in this industry, or delivering this, is that in many ways, their nephew have got more credibility than a lot of other companies in this, bringing this service. And it actually was, Census is a very good example. I mean, if you look at SiteSmart in their way, you will see a lot of different campaigns that they have been doing. I know that you probably have been doing the same in Israel, from what I recall. You want to have a very tight relationship between what you're offering and what the customer perceives. I mean, it's simple messages. Census was asking, hey, did you know you can buy a website with us? Because they realized that a lot of their customers, they didn't know they could buy a website with them. And it's just doing those campaigns instead and it's just, it might be simple, but it's actually what will get you there eventually at some point. You need to have the knowledge there from in the customer's head. And then that's the most important point is to make sure that the customer actually believes that you are a valuable supplier of digital services, because that has proven to be one of the biggest obstacles in getting into that area. That there's simply no tie or connection between the YP service and the digital service. Those two just don't match in many ways. With time, begin to insource. When you get everything up and running, insource it again. Make sure that you have, because then you've built the business case, you've proven the business to be right, but you haven't made heavy investments up front. You can change it, you can shut it down again if it doesn't work, but do it wrong fast is actually extreme. I don't know if you've read that book, it's amazing. But do it wrong fast is the best advice that I can give from the companies that we have been working with. And I know I didn't spend the entire 30 minutes, but that was what we are doing. So I just wanted to show you this slide. It might be difficult for you to see, but it's related to as an ABC. It's in the presentation that you will see. It's actually just a collection of pitfalls. It's some of the pitfalls that we have experienced when we are working with our customers. I mean, finding the right way to the market. That's one thing of viewing it. And what we actually experienced is just making sure that the product packages aligns, correlates with what the customer needs. And that sometimes isn't really there. High churn, what could be the symptoms or what could be the mitigation for that? So we just try to put in all these things to enable our partners at least to have a very fast transition into becoming a digital supplier to their customers. Too much time spent in fulfillment, that's the other one that is also very crucial to manage. What could be the symptoms there? What could be the mitigation in terms of that? Investing in pre-production, making sure that you have something that is already there, rather than starting with a blank canvas is extremely important in that process. So thinking smart and doing it wrong fast, that's the best advice that we can give.